So once we move forward, we'll prepare and file the application. We come up with the best and broadest description to ensure that the products and services reflect what they're currently doing or planning to do in the marketplace. So that's a strategy too, is coming up with the best description of goods and services or products and services. We handle the entire process from start to finish. So we're the attorney of record, the law firm of record on their application. So we get all the updates, we keep them informed. We handle any office actions. So you have experience with getting office actions. Office actions are essentially issued in about 70% of trademark applications. So once you file the application, there's like a 9-month window where you're just kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting for your application to be assigned to an examining attorney at the US Patent and Trademark Office. Once they get your application, they'll look it over. They'll see if there's any issues that need to be addressed before you move forward in the process. If there are, they'll issue an office action. So with our firm, unlike a lot of other firms, we handle all office actions, whether it's a quick like fix that doesn't require a lot of legal analysis, all the way up to filing and drafting substantive legal briefs and evidence. We handle the non-substantive office actions as well as the substantive. And so that's what our clients hire for us, because they hire us knowing that we pay your team a flat rate and we know that you'll take care of it and you'll keep us updated through the process. And so that's how we work, is we do an all-inclusive flat rate, handle the entire process for our clients from start to finish. And so that's what they hire us for, is making sure that we, take care of their application, keep them updated, handle all the heavy legal work, all the way until the conclusion of the process, which takes on average about 14 months.
And what makes your firm and you different from any other trademark attorney out there?
I think what makes me particularly unique is that I actually, from the start of my career, specialized in trademark. So 14 years of extensive trademark law experience. I know this like the back of my hand. I can do it in my sleep. On top of that, former big law firm experience. So I was able to take the strategy and expertise that I learned from advising the big Fortune 200 companies, and translating that to help the smaller businesses become larger companies if that's what they desire. So I would say that big law firm expertise as well. And then thirdly, I would say our flat rate model, our all-inclusive flat rate model is very different from a lot of firms. Most other firms do not offer an all-inclusive. They might do a flat rate for just the trademark search and the filing, and then like, oh, everything else, they're going to hit you with, oh, that's this cost, and that's that cost, and this cost, and then you're just like, wait a minute. And so I found that our all-inclusive model really worked for small businesses, because, it's all about budget. Can I fit this in my budget? And so they know, I'm hiring Radiance, this is what I'm paying her. I know there won't be any additional legal fees. There might be additional filing costs that you have to pay the USPTO, but at least you'll know that I pay Radiance for this, I'm going to get what I say I pay for. And I think that's really, those three things are the things that really stand out from, my competitors.
Yeah, and along those lines, so for anyone that, can you think back on any of your clients and remember a time in which they had an especially difficult registration process, but you were able to get them through that? Like, what was the story, and how did you get them through it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I will say there have been a number of clients that we've gotten like a likelihood of confusion refusal. So meaning they're saying that there's another registration on the register that is similar to your clients, and they've issued initial refusal. I've been able to overcome I would say just about all or most of them, simply because I just kind of know the ins and outs and the strategies of doing so. And then moreover, because we did our initial strategy call, because I did a comprehensive search before the process, we anticipated that such a thing would come, and we already had prepared how we get around it should this happen. And so that's how a lot of times I'm able to kind of overcome those things. Now, there are often times now, I would say, especially in the last couple of years, the USPTO has started issuing what's called a failure to function refusal, where they're saying your trademark is like a commonly used word or something and you can't trademark it. So I've gotten a couple of those, but I've also been able to overcome those for my clients simply because I know trademarks. Even though we weren't prepared for that refusal, I was able to still figure it out and really bring success for my clients. So I think that it's important that being said, I think it's important, regardless of whether you're seeking trademark support or any kind of other support, to find an attorney who specializes in the very thing that you are seeking. Not a general practitioner, not a general business attorney who does all these different things, but find someone who specializes in the very thing that you need help with. The investment is worth it.
Yeah, I would say that for anything you're
Anyway,
going after.
absolutely.
Absolutely. And so specific to that, I had a question about that. I'm losing my mind here. But you were talking about the fact that I know what it was. Has to do with the like using a word that is a regular word. So
Yeah.
I have this opinion, and maybe it's wrong, but just having been through this experience up to this point, that the USPTO is, gosh, I probably shouldn't say this, but I feel like they maybe might be a little discriminatory against small businesses and maybe a little bit more open and relaxed about it for larger businesses. I say that because of some of the names I've seen out there. So Apple, that's an apple is a word. Like, why do you get to trademark the word Apple? Whereas someone like me who might want to just put the word personal into my name, not that they're saying that, but I'm just saying, like, why is that? Why does that happen?
Well, Apple doesn't describe the computer. I think there's a difference between, so those big companies like Apple's and stuff, they have large legal teams. So they kind of know, like, Apple for computers is not descriptive.
Okay,
But if you're like a brand photographer and you have a name that's brand photographer, that's descriptive of what
got
you're
it.
doing. And so that's the difference, is that especially if you're a small business owner and you're really trying to DIY the process, you don't know that. And so I don't think it's a matter of discrimination. It's just a matter of a lack of the knowledge or the skill set to really know, okay, I can do this or not. Because, I think non-trademark attorneys or laymen can read as much as they want about trademarks, but I think when you get into the weeds, especially with the substantive refusals, like the failure to function, the
Hmm.
likelihood of confusion, the descriptiveness refusal, that's going to go over your head. And so I think that's the main difference. It's just not having the nuance or the information to kind of know those differences.
Okay. Well, like I said, I don't know if this is, I kind of feel like it is harder for small business people against the larger companies. And I'm not saying they're out to get you, but I do know, like just what you said, they have a whole legal team.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
competing against that if you're trying to do this
Yeah.
DIY, is my point. Okay. Cool. So, all right. So let's go to the positive side of this equation. It's been like 9 months, a year, and now you got your trademark certificate. So yay, celebration time, right? So what do you do next?
So what do you do next? Well, you want to make sure that you are continuing to use the trademark exactly as you've registered for it. So making sure it's still being used. At this point, you can start using the registration symbol. So the R, with the circle. Now you can use it now that you are officially registered. Now you might want to think about ways in which you can monetize even further. So that's one thing I help my clients too. Now you have a trademark, how can we monetize this? Are there licensing opportunities where you can make residual income? Or can you create a book, or just different ways that you can kind of leverage and monetize what you are already doing? And then thirdly, I would say really getting into thirdly, and then fourthly, getting into enforcement. So meaning monitoring your own trademark, whether it's getting a formal monitoring service to make sure that nobody's filing a similar trademark to yours. And then also just even doing like Google searches every now and then, or Google alerts, setting up Google alerts to make sure that, you can kind of be identified with uses of your name just in the marketplace or in the news that you may or may not be aware of. So just kind of keeping your eyes peeled for third party infringement or anyone who could be infringing on the trademark rights that you invested in. And then lastly, making sure you mark on your calendar, what are your upcoming maintenance deadlines? So with a trademark, you can own that trademark so long as you're using it and file the necessary renewal paperwork with the USPTO. So between year 5 and 6 of your trademark registration is when you have to file paperwork with the USPTO saying, hey, I'm still in business. Here's evidence of that. And then you continue on. It's a much quicker process. You don't have to go through the lengthy trademark process again. It's just showing evidence. And then again, at year 10, year 20, and every 10 years thereafter. So long as you can continue being in business and then you file that maintenance paperwork, you'll continue to maintain those trademark rights.
Mm. So is that something that your firm does?
Yes, we
Yeah.
do help
Is that
trademark.
part of the initial thing, or is this like a maintenance fee that you pay
It's
for that?
another, once our trademark, or once our clients secure their trademark, we offer what's called a trademark owners club. And in that club, we handle the enforcement, the monitoring, the maintenance, sending out cease and desist letters, as well as handling the renewal when it comes.
Oh, that seems like a great service.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. Great. So, what are some of the, well, actually, let me pause for a second because we did have a question in the chat that I do want to talk about. So,
Right.
Carolyn asks, what are the consequences for people using those symbols without actually having a trademark?
Right. So you often will see use of the TM designation that people use, and anyone can use the TM designation. You don't have to have a trademark. You just put the TM, slap it on there. There's no legal significance of the TM designation other than it kind of signifies to people of your intention to trademark, but there's really no like legal strength behind it. Now, with the trademark registration symbol, you can only use that once you have the US Federal Trademark Registration Certificate in hand. Not when you start the application process, but only once your registration is finalized. And so it's important to only do that then. If you use it without, if you're using the registration symbol without a federal trademark, I mean, that's considered fraud. So you can be subject to, there's federal penalties for doing that. So don't do it unless you actually have a federal trademark.
Don't do it. We kind of touched a little bit on this, but what are some of the creative ways that coaches and consultants can kind of celebrate and showcase that newly trademarked brand and get more brand awareness as a result? I mean, I have ideas, but I would love to hear what you suggest to your clients. Like, how do you get that out there and how do you make
Yeah,
it
sure.
like this
I
big
mean,
boom?
yeah, I think a lot of my clients are really excited once it happens. I mean, for starters, just, changing all your marketing materials to add that registration symbol. I think, a lot of my clients have said they feel like their business is more legit now and that clients take them more seriously because they see that registration symbol, on their work and they're like, oh, okay, she means business because she, protected her trademarks. So that's a
Mhm.
good start. But then also kind of just making the announcement, whether it's making the announcements in your newsletter, on social media. A lot of my clients do that, where they announce and celebrate that I've, made this investment. I successfully secured a trademark registration. So I think it's something to celebrate. I think it's something to definitely, share and publicize with the masses because it's an important accomplishment. And it's really, I think, a really important landmark in the journey of your business.
Awesome. Wanted to put a couple, just shout out a couple people. So Carolyn said she's not planning to use the registration mark, but she might now use the TM and not just for transcendental meditation. So there you go,
Right.
Carolyn. And then get on a call with Radiance so that you can get actually registered. So Lillian said she wants to challenge a trademark application. It's categorized under 1B, date of publication. She's got a lot of information there. She wants to know if she can wait until after the date of publication to challenge it. And she's got some more details in there. Sounds like something that you could just have a quick call with her afterwards.
Yeah.
Does that seem
Sounds
right to you? It's a lot.
intense.
So Lillian, it's we want to answer your question. It's just that's going to take some time for Radiance to look through that and
Yeah.
really like analyze it
Right,
for
I would
you.
need to pull up the application and look,
Yes. Yeah.
everything, yeah.
But I appreciate that question. And you guys, for those of you in the room, there's actually Radiance has a special offer just for the people here on Zoom. So you'll want to catch that at the end when we put that in here. So moving on a little bit here. So selfishly, I'd love to ask, in the world of branding and trademarking, what would be the ultimate dream collaboration between a brand strategist, brand photographer, and trademark attorney? I'm asking for a friend.
Dream, there are a lot of things that can happen. I mean, you have a client who comes in, they're wanting to launch a new product. So they start with a brand strategist to kind of get clear on what's going on, what to name the product, where it's going. They bring me in as a trademark attorney to do the clearance and to make sure the name is good and to start the trademark process. Then they bring the brand photographer in to actually take photos for the actual, marketing and advertising materials. So I think that is definitely a really strong strategic partnership between the three. And so I can see that, working out, for coaches and consultants and beyond, in terms of even when you're coming up with, I've had clients coming in and say, hey, I want to really build this large brand. I want to be a public speaker. What does that look like? Same thing. Start with the branding strategist, then bring in the trademark. What is the brand that you want to present? And then the branding photographers will take those awesome pictures to help you, to kickstart your career. So,
So it
yeah,
sounds like we've got some more talking to do.
we got a whole lot of talking. I think it's a wonderful strategic partnership
I
there.
love
Yeah.
it. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about your own personal brand for a minute, okay? So what was as you were going out there to kind of be the face of your, law firm, right? And I know I've seen you on Instagram and you're different. You're different from other attorneys, very much so. You have the experience and all that stuff, but I don't think that's what makes you unique. I personally think it's you who makes the business unique. So tell me a little bit about the challenges that you may have faced, building out that personal brand as a trademark attorney.
I think for me, when I started Radiance IP Law, I had the internal struggle of I didn't want to be traditional. Like, I'm not a traditional attorney. I didn't want to be stuffy. Like, I gave away all my suits. So I just knew coming into this, like, I did not want to be that attorney,
No.
with the blazer on. And so that was something I did from the beginning. And I think it's evolved a lot since then, where I've even become a little bit more laid back than I was at the beginning. Because it's still, even though I was against having the corporate feel, I think my firm had in some elements like more of a corporate feel, is much less now. I think it's more personable. But what I will say is that when I first started Radiance IP Law, it'll be 8 years for me in November. I was like, well, let me leverage all of my skill sets. So I know trademarks, I know copyrights, I know contracts, I know business formation. And so at the start of it, I did all of those things. So I did all those things like the first 2 to 3 years of my business. Around 2019, I was like, maybe I should just niche down to trademarks. Like, people come to me for trademarks, people know me for trademarks. Let me niche down to that. Yeah, I have all these other amazing skill sets that I have that I can support people with. But in terms of how I wanted to brand myself, I really wanted to focus on trademarks. And so by niching down and really like tailoring on trademarks, my revenue actually increased once that happened, really niching down and focusing. And so I've really focused on that, since then. A year ago, I rebranded myself as Radiance, the trademark goddess. And so they're just different. I think that your business continues to evolve in different ways, but I would say that was the biggest thing, is like making that jump to just focus on really one area of law and really making that like Code of Radiance for trademarks. Yeah, I have all this other stuff I can do, and we can talk about that behind the scenes, but I do trademarks, and that's
Yeah.
what you're looking for,
But not even just like what you do. It's like how you put yourself out there. If you
Yeah.
guys have to go to her Instagram feed, it's different from any attorney you've ever seen, honest to goodness. And yeah, and I think that speaks to people getting to know you, and then your uniqueness really comes from you and how you are showing up.
Absolutely.
So, yes, you are niching for sure in what you're doing, but I think it's more that's just what I observe as a personal brand strategist. I see that, and I think that's what's really it's not just the niching down into the what you do, it's the standing out and standing up as the face of your business
Right.
and who
And
you
big
truly
difference.
are.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Authenticity. Yes.
100%. I love it. So bravo on that one.
Mm.
So we're kind of getting here to the wrap up phase. I can't believe we've been talking for 45 minutes now about this. I would love you guys, if there's anything you want to put in the chat here as a question for Radiance right now. We're going to wrap up. If you want to stay in the room and ask her specific questions, off air, we can definitely do that, because I'll stop the recording and all of that. But one last question I want to just ask you is, what haven't I asked you about that you wish I had?
I think you really asked the really key questions. So I don't think there really is anything that I would add add to what you've
So
covered.
I'm super thorough.
Super good. On it. You're on it.
Sajad wants to say a couple of quick things. They're going to be quick, right, Sajad? In support of you. Okay. Go ahead.
The less you know, the more you think you know. So there was a guy that had a food truck company, and it was 250,000 for the food truck. When I was practicing law, I said, "Let me review the contract. 2 hours is $600." He didn't hire me to do that, and then he had a bad contract. He was late behind on his first month payment, and they took his truck. So if you think you can do it by yourself, you can't. It's just a lack of knowledge. It's better to hire Radiance. And then there's statutory damages versus you have to prove it damages if you don't protect your property. If you protect your intellectual property, you automatically get a whole lot of money. If you don't protect your property, you got to prove how much money you lost.
Yep, I agree.
And
Especially
Lillian,
the high Radiance part.
right, higher Radiance part. I agree with that too.
I love it.
Both Radiance parts. I was selling on the back end, Radiance.
I love it. I love it. Lillian had some other things to add here. Lillian, we're going to save the chat too, so that when we know when you're going to get on a call with Radiance, you can, she'll see this information, because I think it's real specific to detailed stuff. You know what I mean? Okay. And so let's go ahead, and Radiance, as I mentioned earlier, she has something really special for everyone who's in the room with us right now. So why don't you talk about it, Radiance? We just put it in the chat, but let's talk about it.
Yes. So we talked a lot today about strategy, the importance of doing a strategy. I do offer 30-minute trademark strategy sessions over Zoom, where we can really get into the nitty-gritty about what your business is, what your vision is, and really develop a comprehensive trademark strategy for you, as well as conduct initial searches to decide whether or not this is an investment that you should pursue at this time. So if you're interested in scheduling a trademark strategy call with me, you can get $100 off if you book a call by tomorrow with myself through my website. There's a special code that we drop in the chat that you can use to get $100 off a 30-minute trademark strategy session with me.
Awesome. And we'll also put the link out there connected to this video when we post that. They won't get the special code though. So
right.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Radiance. I so appreciate you coming on. I think this information is fantastic. I think hopefully everyone here, agrees. We understand what trademarking is, the importance. We know how we're going to go about it and all of the things. And now that you do understand that importance, but if you are someone who hasn't clearly developed that brand like Radiance and I were talking about, we should talk first, so that I can help you figure out what areas you're going to need to get clear on, so that when you do work with Radiance, it's going to be an amazing process and very streamlined and efficient. So with that said, I think Carolyn's going to pop in the chat here. Just grab a call, and basically when you put in the notes section of this call, just put in RCBC trademark, so I know why we're meeting. And then I guarantee that when we get through that call, you guys are going to know exactly what you need to work on. Okay. So thank you guys for coming. So appreciate everyone in the room and everyone else who's listening live. And next time we come together, it's going to be on Monday, the May 22nd. And we're going to be talking LinkedIn, leveraging up your LinkedIn with Deanna Russo. So that's one not to be missed. There's a lot of questions I have specifically about LinkedIn. But anyway, Radiance, thank you again for coming on the show, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.